Hey, I want to talk about freedom. I want to talk about liberty. I want to talk about what it means to live in a society where we have those things. You know, when I was a kid, sometimes you'd see people doing things that just seemed kind of like, well, that seems crazy. And then people were very likely to say things like, well, it's a free country. Hello. Or say things like, well, it takes all kinds. That was the point. That's the point of a free society. People can be what they want to be. People can do what they want to do. That's the richness. You know, a word like diversity is more than just racial or cultural or ethnic. It's diversity of thought as well. How you see things. If you want to be focused on the history of indigenous people, or you want to be focused on the history of African-American people, or you want to be focused on the history of Jewish people, or you want to be focused on the history of Muslims, you get to do that. That's the point of a free society. And what's scary now is the government thinking they have the right to tell you, oh no, we're not going to talk about that. Anytime you have any force, governmental power, telling you what we're going to talk about, no, that's not supposed to happen here. And be very clear about what a coup is. You know, we have this idea of this really dramatic event and the army tanks come rolling in, and certainly that happens. But that's not always the way it happens at all. And sometimes, once again, democratically elected people initiate situations where there's just a slow diminishment of what people feel safe doing. And it doesn't have to begin with feel safe in terms of your life. It could be safe in terms of your career, safe in terms of your economic opportunities, safe in terms of just social permission, who's going to like you or want you in their club. And then what can start to happen is a phenomenon called obedience in advance. You know, I saw something on the internet. I'll try to find it and I'll post it on my Substack if I find it. I had put it in my stories. A gentleman who had written a website for, I don't know if it was a tourist bureau or whatever, some kind of official place in Williamsburg, Virginia. And it told the entire scope of the history and of the enslaved people and the indigenous people and everything that's really the broader picture of the revolutionary years in Williamsburg, Virginia. So he said, I looked the other day and the website's gone. Or a friend of mine who sort of started cleaning out her desk at work because, oh no, I had done a diversity training 10 years ago there, and I thought I better take it out of my desk. Like what? She did something wrong? I mean, there are laws that have to do with our taxes, have to do with criminal things. You know, you can and you cannot do. Hello. And those laws were not just passed by Elon Musk or dictated by Musk or dictated by Trump or any one of their minions. So there's another sort of psychological aspect to all this that has been talked about historically. And that's what makes people want to just cave. I give up. My life will be easier if I just give up. My life will be easier when I just start living within the kind of attitudinal straitjacket they want me to live within. It'll just be easier. And then what goes along with that, remember when in his first term, in his first campaign, Trump talked about what he thought was wrong and he said, only I can fix it. This thing with Musk, like only he can fix it. He can fix it. Talk about transparency. Are you kidding? What they're not being transparent about, it's his multi-billion dollars of contracts with the government. They don't want to be transparent about that. And let's not forget, some of the inspectors general that they fired were people who were investigating his government contracts. Right now, he's got a $400 million one for armored Teslas. We won't even go into why do we need armored Teslas? So, and then another one is you hear some people say, well, I just want to wait and see. Really, you want to wait and see, do you? No. That's really a way of saying, well, it hasn't affected me yet. I love what's happening. Well, I don't love what's happening with the farmers, but I love what's happening within the minds of the farmers who are saying, what the hell is this? Who were the 40% of the food, soybeans, and other commodities that were bought by the USAID to give to starving people around the world, and all of a sudden their grants are frozen. And they're saying, well, this isn't what I voted for. Some people say, no, this is what people voted. This is not what people voted for, including what Musk is doing. People who voted for Trump had been told by him, we had all been told by him, that this recommendation advisory board, which in and of itself, president has a right to do that. And a president saying, well, we're going to have an advisory board. I'm going to have a recommendation board because I feel that there are too many people in the federal workforce. That in and of itself is not bad, and that certainly would be within the rights of the president. But we were told it was going to make recommendations, not that people were just going to be able to go into these agencies, grab a hold, even in the Treasury Department, of computers and start deleting things they want deleted. So there's nothing to wait for, kind of like this is already happening. So let's move into the solution, as they say. Some people say, well, shouldn't we be in the streets? Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the streets also, but this is, first of all, a lot of the activism is in your mind. Martin Luther King said, do not mistake our material passivity for weakness. We are spiritually active. Read what's going on, observe what's going on. And it's easier not to. It's easier to say, I just got to go live my life. This is just too much. And you know, I certainly understand that one after everything I've been through, but and your own social media pages, to the extent to which you're on, and I understand not being on all the time, but when you see a lie, print the truth. If somebody makes a comment that's in some even indirect way support of what is essentially an authoritarian regime, and you know that that means the replacement of democracy. And remember, everybody, democracy is messy. It is by definition messy. It by definition moves more slowly. It is by definition deliberative because we all have to get involved. And in that sense, people would argue, well, a dictatorship is just easier. It's more efficient. Somebody can just come in and make the decisions. Yeah, that's the point. That's what you don't want. Because that means that people who don't go along don't get to live the lives we would otherwise live. And then what will happen is that people are really smart or really talented. The system will always pick them up so they can have their way. Maybe 20% of the people. Everybody else, on your own. So if you feel strongly about that, and love is the answer, that you love that, because that's what makes this country great. That is what makes this country great. All kinds of people doing all kinds of stuff. People can spread their wings. People can soar. People can self-actualize. And it takes time. People can make mistakes. You go through something in your 20s that in your 40s or your 50s, you go, oh, I can't believe I was into that. That's the point. You were allowed to. You were allowed to do what you wanted to do. Be who you wanted to be. Sing the song you wanted to sing. And you rose or you fell. And you grew. And that's what a free society affords you the opportunity to do. But when there's anybody saying that because you're a woman, you shouldn't be able to, I mean, there's a law someone's trying to introduce in Congress right now that would limit the ability of married women to vote. All this stuff about, well, it's not the same name, your married name is not the same name as on your birth certificate, so you have to go have proof of what this name is, and the whole thing is designed so that enough women will go, oh, it's just too much. I won't vote this year. It's already happening, so there's nothing to wait and see. Stand now. Stand up now. You gotta use your voice. You gotta risk being inconvenient in the room. You gotta risk being that person that talks about the elephant on the table when dinner might be calmer and nicer if we didn't. So whatever that means in your life, just a friendly reminder, don't cave. Okay, thanks. Have a beautiful day. And I do mean have a beautiful day. It's paradoxical, but despite it all, have a beautiful day.